Every day, thousands of our customers access our services in a variety of ways, and the service they receive reflects the way they feel about us. Valuing people, taking responsibility, behaving with integrity, working as a team, and being innovative are the values which shape our everyday culture here at Hyde. In housing services, our aim is to provide an excellent customer experience where each customer feels that they are special and important. Every interaction a customer has with our staff shapes their satisfaction with our services and their experience of Hyde. Christina has been a Hyde resident in Ramsgate for 13 years. During a period of snow this year, she was without power for a number of days, meaning a loss of independence and a great deal of inconvenience. She tells us in her own words how important it is that Hyde staff genuinely value people by making sure they're treated with respect, listened to and kept informed.
It was when all the snow happened, so I think there was a lot of people missing at the time, and I was actually without power for about 3 or 4 days. And I'd rang up and we actually ended up speaking to many different people. You know, we kept ringing up and then we were explaining the whole thing over and over again to people. And it just got really frustrating. You know, I know they speak to a lot of people, they're in probably stressful situations themselves, but you know, they didn't put themselves in my situation. They didn't think how it would make them feel if it was them. So I didn't feel valued in any way. It was just like, you've got to put up with this, which I didn't feel, you know, was right, really. This has been my home now for 13 years, and you know, it's important that staff know it is my home. You know, I may have a disability, but it's me you talk to when there's problems with the home. You know, I do have carers coming in, but I'm not silly. You know, I'm the one that asks you the questions about what's happening with a fault in the property, and I'd like you to address me with what's going on, not, you know, ignore me or think that I don't know what's going on, because I do. And I think that's a misconception, that people think when you've got a disability you're silly, and it's not the case. Valuing people is putting yourself in someone else's shoes and treating someone how you expect to be treated yourself, listening to others and respecting others. I think the thing is, this year has been so difficult anyway. I've been in and out of hospital a lot. You know, this year has been so hard. You know, I've got to have more tests than that. And Vicky just coming in with those flowers, it's just a small thing, but you know, when you haven't got out for sometimes three months it can be, and just looking out that window, you almost get cabin fever. You don't know the outside world anymore, and someone bringing that little bunch of flowers, it just brightens your life. So, you know, when you get the opposite as well, you know, stress is a big factor to my condition. You know, and I do have a lot of different stresses with everything else. So it's just nice when things run smoothly, and just that little thing makes a huge difference in somebody's life.
Hi, my name's Vicky. I work in the resident engagement team for Hyde. I haven't known Christina for too long. We met at the Resident Engagement Awards the year before last. However, listening to her story today has made me realise just how much of an impact we can have on residents' day-to-day lives, even with the smallest of actions.
Angela used to live in a Hyde property in Sissinghurst, Kent. Angela tells us how she suffered antisocial behaviour for some time from a particular individual where she lived. She became increasingly frustrated with Hyde as nothing appeared to be happening to resolve the problem. However, by simply taking responsibility, telling Angela what was happening, explaining the process and listening to her, Hyde staff managed to calm the situation and make a significant difference to the way that Angela felt about Hyde. Although she has since mutually exchanged out of our property, she maintains that if she had a choice, she would have loved to have stayed a resident of Hyde.
About 2 years ago, my husband left and I was on my own, and the teenagers found out about that. I phoned the police and they asked me if I'd experienced any other problems with the teenagers, and I said yes, that I had. And they said that, really, I should have been reporting the incidents either to Hyde or to them way before I did. But because I'd initially been told by Hyde to ignore it and hopefully the problem would go away, I had kept quite a low profile. I can't say they didn't take the intimidation seriously, because the allegations were written down in black and white. But there didn't seem to be a body of people or a certain person that I could liaise with all the time and say, this has upset me. With the police, I had one person that I could get in touch with constantly. So the positive part was when I was allocated the new housing officer. She came to see me, she went and interviewed the teenager, she interviewed the teenager's parents, and she actually took an interest in me, which straight away changed my whole outlook. Leanne definitely did go that extra mile for me when she was allocated to looking after me. She was a new housing officer. She took a really, really good interest in what was happening. She was interested in the history, and Leanne was also interested in how there was a way forward. And it did restore my faith in Hyde. Maybe adopt somebody, so to speak. They're your responsibility. Build a rapport with them, build a relationship with them. It can be done. Leanne did it with me. Within the first hour of our meeting, I felt that she was a friend. I felt that she was there. I knew she was going to help me.
Jackie is a resident from near St Neots in Cambridgeshire. She's been a Hyde resident for 5 years. A little while ago, Jackie got into rent arrears and was facing eviction. Jackie talks about this in her own words and explains how Hyde staff demonstrated the value of behaving with integrity when dealing with residents. Can you tell me what happened when you first found out that you were in rent arrears?
I panicked. I had anxiety, that anxiety feeling where you feel sick and then like your stomach goes and you can't breathe. Just permanent anxiety. I couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Just panic and scared.
So what happened? Why did you get into that position?
Because of, I have a sleep disorder, which wasn't managed. The sleep disorder that I've got, basically, I was just always craving sleep. My body didn't know that it had slept, even though it had. So to everyone else, I just look lazy and don't do anything, but it's not that. It's just the fact that I couldn't, because I couldn't. The sleep disorder was controlling me, not me. I wasn't in control of it. Yeah. So all I could do was live with it.
And so Hyde couldn't contact you?
No. The first thing I knew was Valerie was knocking at my door, saying about the rent arrears, and obviously when she came in, because when I'm asleep, I don't get nothing done, so the house was a mess, and because I'm getting behind on things, I was getting behind on post things like that.
And Tanya came along to see you?
Yeah, basically she sort of, I think Valerie left, and I think Tanya sort of took over all that side of it with me. Obviously the court date and everything had gone too far, but I just didn't know how to deal with it. And when I started to speak to Tanya and everything, I started to feel better about the whole... Not that I was in the situation, but she made me feel better because they were trying to help me and not, you know, trying to do what they can to make me be okay. Once it got going, the court date, it was quite soon before, you know, I found out whether I'd lose the house or not. And that was awful feeling, thinking that I might lose that house, you know, thought of going into a hospital again. And that's where obviously Hyde have come in and, you know, they haven't just said, right, you owe us these rent arrears. They have helped me.
The persistence of her income officer and a referral to Hyde Plus meant that staff were able to help her turn around the situation. This intervention led to the warrant being suspended at a stay hearing, and Jackie is now maintaining her payments to clear the arrears. Belafonte House is a brand new extra care scheme of some 43 homes for over 55s at Rochester Riverside. This is an excellent example of working together in partnership, as many Hyde teams have worked closely with external stakeholders and the residents themselves to ensure the scheme got up and running smoothly and encourage a real community feel there. Following sign-ups and a welcome meeting with Hyde representatives from various teams, residents have organised a regular coffee morning themselves so that they can discuss their plans for the block and get to know their neighbours better. They are talking about social activities they would like to arrange in the future to bring the scheme to life and how they can influence their service delivery.
Joan was the one who suggested a coffee morning, and she does all the food, quite a bit of food and stuff, and fetches down every week. And I mean, people seem to have taken to it. They like it.
I mean, it's early days.
And it gives everyone a chance to meet one another, you know, to mix and whatever.
I mean, it's early days at the moment. You know, we are looking ahead at the moment, you know, to progress. You know, where we're going to have sort of bingo evenings down here, outings, going to the seaside for everybody and that, you know. Like Joan, like this sort of Christmas dinner maybe down there for people who want it and that, you know. But, and like I say, it's the early stages yet. Now we've got this off the ground at the moment, the coffee meeting seems to be successful, doesn't it?
Well, it does.
And then we're trying to get enough money in the pot now and all that so we can progress from there and all that. I've got a form upstairs from the Hyde. I think they're going to allow us up to £500. Now that could obviously be spent on sort of conventions out there, or maybe a barbecue, which we're looking at the moment and all. So we're getting there slowly.
What they've laid on you, I mean, you can't fault, can you? Really?
I mean, if you're sort of looking about the place itself and the flats it's on,
beautiful, aren't they?
I mean, only way that I can describe it, but it's a small version of a penthouse. I've been in a penthouse. I've seen what a penthouse looks like. And this is a smaller version. Okay, penthouse has got a big outlay, it's open plan and everything else, and that's the only way I can describe on a smaller version. No problem whatsoever.
No, you've got plenty of freedom to do your own thing.
That's right.
I mean, you're not restricted in any way. Well, I haven't found it anywhere.
Nice and bright, it's lovely.
Well, the people that sort of come and ask me about this
nice and peaceful,
and describe this place, it's like a hotel.
It is.
Because if you go on holiday, you've got a lobby there, you go up on the left, you've got a lobby out there, you go in there, and especially the guest room up there, which I think is excellent, 10 out of 10, because it's ensuite, you've got tea and coffee facility there, fridge and all that. Right, 2 nice beds in there, you can't fault it.
The reason I feel valued here, I think that I fit in quite well with the community in this building, and I like to be friendly with people. I feel very safe. And I know that I'm not going to have a load of aggro from neighbours or anything like that. And I find people very friendly, and it's a homely sort of environment for me, really. I feel quite safe, and I have had health problems. I think that if I was to pick the emergency cord up or whatever, I would have somebody there who could assist me, you know, save my wife worrying about if it happened in the night or whatever.
They work like a large family, you know what I mean? Okay. Really, really good and caring. If you have problems, just call them and they come up in about 5 minutes. All the staff here work perfectly well as a team. Nothing too much trouble for them.
We came here and we had the initial sort of tour around, which was, there again, quite gobsmacking when you walk in. It looked more like a hotel, as everyone sort of said. And we met Steve and other members of the team. But I remember Steve in general because he made beautiful coffee. Can I put that on record? I was making lovely coffee.
Sid has been a Hyde resident in Kings Lynn in Norfolk for 3 years. He is one of our key involved residents and works in partnership with staff to ensure that residents have a say in how their services are delivered. Sid has taken an active part in some of the innovative projects that Hyde has initiated, helping to get more residents involved. And he talks here about how important it is for Hyde staff to be innovative when dealing with residents.
Windmill Court is a sheltered housing unit, and it had landscaping in the sense of tidy paths, tidy bushes, but no colour. And we felt that it would be nice for the residents if we could introduce colour into the gardens. Traditionally, they have gardens all the way around, but in this occasion, when we looked at it, it was dull. It needed a little bit of colour. And Hyde introduced this landscape champion scheme whereby residents like myself could get involved in doing or ensuring the environment became more appetising for those who live there. We got involved. Myself and a fellow resident spent the next 6 months going round with the contractors and with the scheme manager hoping to improve it. I'm pleased to say that now it's St Avon with flowers and colour. People sit out, we've had a gazebo presented to us, so it makes it more a pleasant surrounding altogether. It's made a great deal of difference to the area now. Residents enjoy sitting in the garden and talking. It makes me feel that we've done something worthwhile and that the residents will benefit from it, and also that we had the support of the staff to do this. But in my belief that in the past, residents made comments, but there wasn't a form of passing that information on to the people who mattered. So with the landscape champion development, we were able to put our requests and our observations forward for consideration. And in that sense, to me, that was a great step forward and a good initiative from Hyde. I found working with the staff at Hyde very rewarding, actually, because they listen to you. And by listening, your ideas are carried forward. And we have, of course, helping us and monitoring us all the time is our resident engagement officer, who is invaluable, ensuring that we keep on top of things. Being innovative to me is being open to new ideas, to listen to the ideas put forward and hopefully follow them through.
The Hyde values are a statement of what we expect from our staff in their everyday interactions with customers and with colleagues, to ensure we provide the best possible customer experience every time. Our values set out what's important to Hyde as an organisation, and love, living our values every day, describes the way our staff put the Hyde values into practice in their day-to-day work.